Horror. Follow Dread Vault and enjoy spine-chilling horror stories. There is a small hill town by the sea in Spain. Seleucia has white-walled houses, narrow streets, and the sound of church bells every hour. During the day, this place looks like a postcard or a painting. But at night, a strange coldness fills the air of St. Lucia. This is the story of 19-year-old Mateo Guro, who had recently researched the ancient church and 100-year-old houses in Seleucia from Madrid, Spain. Seleucia was a very beautiful town, but extremely quiet. Mateo noticed that people would hurry home as evening fell. No one was seen outside after dark. One evening, Mateo was researching an old cemetery next to the church. Then he noticed something strange. Near a grave stood a broken wedding arch, as if a wedding had taken place there long ago and was then abandoned. Dried flowers hung from the arch. Under the arch, the soil was darker than the surrounding area. Mateo didn't pay much attention, but that night, something strange started happening to him. While working in his guesthouse room, he heard light footsteps outside, like the soft rustle of clothing. When he looked outside the window, the street was empty. But at the corner, a white silhouette stood. It looked like a woman wearing a long white gown. Mateo thought it might be a tourist. But before he could react, the woman vanished. The next night, the same sound appeared again. This time, Mateo opened the window. A very cold breeze entered the room, as if someone had just passed in front of the guesthouse. On the stone street below were wet footprints leading straight to the old cemetery. Mateo couldn't resist and followed the footprints into the cemetery. The church bell rang. It was 2 a.m. Mateo entered the cemetery. The air was even colder. Walking among old crosses and gravestones, Mateo reached the broken wedding arch he had seen the day before. And there, for the first time, he saw her. Under the arch stood a woman in a white wedding gown, looking very old-fashioned. Her face was partially covered with a white veil. It seemed like she was waiting for someone. Mateo took a step forward, and suddenly, the wind stopped. The silence in the cemetery was so deep that Mateo could hear his heartbeat. The woman slowly turned toward Mateo. Her veil lifted slightly, and Mateo saw her face. It was horrifying. Her face was completely white, her eyes terrifying, as if possessed by a spirit. Blood stains were visible, as if she had cried tears of blood years ago. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Mateo felt his entire body freeze. But before anything else could happen, the woman suddenly vanished. Mateo didn't sleep all night. In the morning, the old caretaker of the guesthouse arrived. Mateo asked him about the woman. At first, the caretaker said nothing, but when Mateo mentioned the cemetery's wedding arch, the caretaker turned pale. He revealed that the story began in 1889. That year, a wedding was to take place in Seleucia. The bride's name was Isabella Romero, and the groom was Javier Morales. They were the happiest couple in town. The wedding mandip was built near the cemetery because renovation work was happening in the church. On the wedding night, everyone gathered. Isabella waited in the mandip, but her groom never arrived. Later, it was found that Javier had left Seleucia hours earlier with another woman. Isabella spent the night waiting under the mandip. The night grew colder, and before morning, Isabella fell dead. She had suffered a great shock, leading to her death. Her body was buried in the same cemetery. Since that night, something strange happened in Seleucia. Sometimes, people would see a woman in a white wedding gown standing under the cemetery arch, still waiting for someone. People called her the dead bride or corpse bride. Mateo was terrified when he heard this story. That night, he also saw the dead bride. While in his room, he heard the footsteps again, coming right outside his room. Then a strange smell entered, wet soil and old flowers. Mateo grew anxious. He peeked at the door and saw a shadow, like someone was standing right outside. The doorknob began to move slowly on its own. Mateo started sweating in fear. Then the movement stopped. Suddenly, the door opened by itself. Matteo screamed. But no one was at the door. Moments later, the sound of shoulders moving disappeared. His gaze went to the window, and there she was again, the horrifying woman in the white wedding gown, glaring at him. Then, she suddenly vanished. Matteo didn't sleep all night again and told the church priest in the morning. The priest said that no one had ever seen the dead bride act like that. When Matteo asked if she had taken anything from the cemetery the first time, he remembered he had brought back some dried flowers. The priest said perhaps that was why her spirit reached Matteo's house, and maybe she believed her groom had returned for her. The priest advised Matteo to leave the town immediately, or the woman might never stop chasing him. Matteo was terrified and decided to leave Solucia that day. But when he packed his belongings at home, he noticed wet footprints on the doorstep, just like those at the cemetery. Matteo got scared and hurriedly packed. Looking out the window, the sky turned dark. Suddenly, the lights in the house flickered, and darkness fell. Heavy rain started, with thunder and lightning. And then, the woman appeared in front of Matteo again. The caretaker arrived just in time. Matteo shouted in panic, seeing the horrifying woman in the white gown. He ran into his room. But by then, it was too late. Matteo wasn't there. Hours later, Matteo's dead body was found in the cemetery under the wedding arch, covered in wet soil. Since that day, everyone believed that the dead bride's spirit had taken Matteo, thinking he was her groom, forever. Friends, how did you like this corpse bride story? If you liked it, quickly subscribe to our channel The Dread Vault and keep watching weekly spine-chilling horror stories.